entire organization. And so, just like last year, we left everyone with the question is, how do you build a program? And I think we shared some results, and hopefully you found some value into that. But if we go to the next slide, Brian. So we know it's got to be centered on a process excellence culture. All the evangelization that we have done to get people excited and leveraging all the momentum is, you can't compare that to having your senior leadership engaged, and you can't compare that to having your entire organization bought into what we call process excellence culture. And so that's where you just live, eat, and breathe about efficiency and inefficiency, or where you're not delivering value to your customers, are just not even tolerated. And so we're going to spend a lot of time this year just on that. But it really comes down to really 4 key components for us. Is one, we have to expand the core. So we develop our core in the first year. Those core segments need to be improved, just like you would improve any other process, but it needs to expand. So as you go through the life cycle of capabilities, we want to be very sound in what we're offering to our internal, external customers, and social mobile features being one of those. We've got to be able to optimize our platform. This is where the value of actually Appian World is, because you learn about all the new features that are coming down the pipe, and those are very important. And as a customer, and as a very active customer, you should always put what I call positive pressure on your partner Appian to develop new capabilities for your company to leverage. That's very important. And also is you have to keep on further refining the opportunities that you have in your existing portfolio. And so continuous improvement will provide that, but after a while, your portfolio will take a different shape on its own, even though it had its origination in certain projects, and it'll be much more front-facing in terms of services and processes that your organization can leverage and deploy. And so,
in addition, we started out with scaling projects and delivering on those projects. Well, we're looking to go beyond that now, establishing programs, and how do we establish further refinement of what we currently have in place, and how do we look to expand the capabilities of what we're doing from a process perspective, or even from the tool itself. Look at opportunities from an optimization standpoint. We're looking for opportunities to say, like we created with onboarding, where we started out with just focusing on delivering services to employees and to consultants. Well, how do we expand that out to look at all the different IT services that we provide to the organization, and how do we continue to build that program as well, and look for those cross-functional, cross-process opportunities within the program itself. And finally, the ultimate goal, obviously, is looking for new capabilities and developing those capabilities across the organization, and developing people so that part of the process of looking at initiatives, that every new initiative that is part of what we do at the organization should have at least an examination of a BPM component to them, and ingraining that in the culture.
Cool. Thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you.
John and Brian, a couple of questions just came in during the presentation. So first question was, how did you decide which processes will form your core initially? I know you started with NPI. The question is generally, how did you decide which ones to get started with first?
I think we had a little bit of an advantage there. We had the burning platform where new product launchers brought this into our organization. And at that time, we were starting up a new business line, and so Appian was actually was faced with the innovation test of a new service line for our co-location services. And so not only were we getting a new business line, we were also using new technology. Some of that basis was on a buy versus build justification as well. And then on onboarding, which I simply call the wolf in sheep's clothing project, was a test of our organization efficiency. And so it was a combination of about 13, 14 services to be well coordinated within our 4 walls. So we had a lot more control over that in terms of getting participation and so forth. So it actually, I would say, through that experience, provided the opportunity us to develop something at our own pace and our pace just happens to be very quick and rapid, so.
Question was, what kinds of communication did you use to engage employees as you've kind of gone down this journey? And now you're touching more and more people and organizations. And how are you trying to break down the barriers and engage with the employees on this journey?
Well, from some of our initial, some initial processes that were developed, we do have regularly employee communications that go out. So some of that kind of gets communicated out that way. Elizabeth's team that's responsible for the co-location business sends out a newsletter as well, which also has some announcements as far as especially to customers as well as internal representatives that should further get people's understanding of what's happening with that line of business. And then finally, a lot of it is spending a lot of time in meetings with both senior executives as well as different department heads to get that understanding. And it would have been easy if someone would have given us a blank check and said, we're going to operationalize BPM across the organization, and obviously that's not usually the case at most organizations. And so a lot of things we had to do was more from a bottom-up approach, where we looked at where we were able to operationalize new product introduction and co-location business, the co-location customer portal, as well as the onboarding process, and try to build on those successes as well and expand those rather than just because obviously to do full business transformation, it takes a lot of buy-in and it takes a lot of time, which we didn't really have available to us in the first year and a half.
And I would add our communications, I think, in new areas, maybe a little more BPM centric, where the process streams that we've had in place, a little more mature, a lot more mature than the newer ones, are much more business oriented in terms of the process and the services that are developed, where there may not even be any mention of any business process or even Appian.
I mean, because we are such a technology-focused organization, that people understood what software implementations and what that was about versus the looking at just from truly a business process re-engineering effort.
Right. And on the co-location business now, what aspects of the business are being driven by Appian today? Can you just summarize that real quick?
Essentially, all the service that's being provided to the customers is actually going through the customer co-location portal. And so, this is how we actually, that is the source system for how we generate well, not only just for tracking the service requests and tracking if we're meeting our objectives, but in addition to that, also for some services, also is our system of record for for generating revenue as well.
Great. Excellent. Fantastic. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.